Special mention to our platinum sponsor, RBC, gold sponsors, Ugly Group, Allure, Creative BC, Canada Media Fund, Telefilm, KPU, City of Surrey, Warner Brothers Discovery, Access Canada. We are here for the collection of shorts titled Beneath the Surface. Yeah. The strongest moments are often unspoken. These films reveal stories layered with hidden emotions, alternate realities, and unvoiced desires. It's a roller coaster of what's left unsaid. We are lucky to have some of the filmmakers in attendance today, so please stay after the screening for an engaging discussion with them. Also, this year, we've been featuring content creators from around the world. This is an initiative ISAF started last year to great success, and it's our way to spotlight the creativity of Instagram Reels and build a bridge between content creators and the film industry. Hope you enjoy these videos along with the amazing blog. Thank you, and see you after the show. Hi everyone, thank you all for being here. It's such a pleasure hosting your films in this lovely blog and to have all of you here at ISAF for this entire run. I want to start with a general question and then we can get down to some of the more specific aspects. Each of your films capture very powerfully the notion of expectation against the coldness of a specific reality. Chanvi with Mirage, a newly arrived immigrant thrown into the chaos and darkness of a family-run motel business. With Fatal, highly interpretive and subjective, an interrogation of the self in a world that demands so much of us. And with Taboo, a community struggling to take care of its own amidst the jarring, traumatizing incident of an attempted suicide. Did you anticipate in each of your films that the unspoken human needs of comfort and certainty would be so bluntly tempered by a world that we feel we have no choice but to accept that reality and live with the pain? Or do you feel we can be agents of change for our own lives and our communities?
Should I go first? I think we can really be agents of change for our communities, and I think with this film and all of the films that I've seen, I think the idea is that we wanted with our film to be the start of that change, that was definitely the idea behind Taboo, is that we really wanted to talk about mental health in as open a way as possible, and hopefully that'll help start the change within the community, not only within the Muslim community, but within the South Asian community, the greater immigrant communities. So I was hoping that that universal message is something that people can use when it comes to dealing with their own mental health, and then also being caretakers for folks dealing with mental health.
There you go. Oh, hello? No, but this does. Oh, okay. All right, sorry.
I don't know, I don't think I was really thinking about that when I made the film. It was more just trying to stay as present as possible in her experience. And I think in the past I've tended to really explain what my characters are feeling for my audience, and for me the biggest thing I wanted to try to do for this one was to not do that, to really let my audience decide, all their sort of, make judgments about each of the characters on their own, because I think I've gotten very different responses to the brother character and to her character depending on the rooms I'm in, and I think that that's key because you just don't know what anyone's going through or why they're behaving a certain way. So I think, are they trying to be agents of change? I don't think so, but just trying to fight every day is hopefully kind of getting them there.
What a beautiful block to be in. Give it up, everybody. What a beautiful block to be in. I think for what we wanted to do with Fatal is just exactly what, to your point, was very interpretive, but also it's an invisible battle. It's a constant battle. It's different every day. And I think that's something that we've tried to capture. And as well as not having any dialogue in it is just exactly represents that. Is nobody speaks about any of this, right? And I think that's okay. What did I do?
No, you didn't
Oh,
get it. You're good.
okay. I thought it was the Oscar hour. I thought I was like, oh, my time's done already. Oh.
No, that'll be me. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. And yeah, so yeah, that's about it.
Oh, this is all one to you.
One, yes.
That's awesome.
Just pivoting, Janvi, to Mirage, in terms of just capturing the specific moment of what each character is going through, was there a specific reason or underlying theme you were looking to explore with the idea of your protagonist being confronted by the motel owners and her relatives' activities and sort of the jarring nature of what she was presented by?
I think it's like, I mean, I don't want to make it sound too simple, but I think a lot of her journey is very much inspired by my own being an immigrant, which is you think it's one thing and then it's really not what you expect it to be. And obviously the film is like the most dramatic version of that. But you know, her story is very much like she's starting new life. She has these very rose-tinted glasses on and a vision of America that is possible depending on where you end up, but you know, she's just not expecting to be where she is. Like he bought her tickets, then come, she thought, okay, life's gonna be great. And then, you know, it's not that it's not great. I mean, clearly she's working, she has a job, she has more agency, but that comes with its own challenges. And it's not like, I think it was to try and humanize his challenges too. It's like he wasn't doing this because he's like, yeah, I want to just sell drugs and, you know, it's fine. It's more like, I'm in a desperate situation, and it's sort of, hopefully the goal by the end was to just bring more empathy towards him in her character. So it's kind of, yes, it's brutal and it's kind of dark, but I think at the same time it's very much about, like, I get it. I get why he's like this, and that's why she chooses to stay at the end, right? So yeah.
That she does. With Taboo, did you find the notion of suicide, you know, I actually read up a bit on the film and the background, and it being considered a cardinal sin in Islam, and this idea, in your experience, did you draw any inspiration from real world examples or incidents that you have witnessed within the Muslim community?
Yeah, so this idea actually came from a best friend of mine who was struggling with depression. Thankfully, nothing this extreme happened, but we had like a lot of conversations about suicide within the community. We talked about, once he did say this, another extreme example was somebody did commit suicide, and then a lot of mosques were turning the body away and weren't interested in burying that bodies, which was very like a very jarring thing to hear and like really scary at the time. I think the community has really grown from that as of now. This is, I want to say, 6 to 7 years ago, but that was kind of like what got the idea brewing. And yeah, the character really is based on my friend and kind of the things that he was going through and feeling really misunderstood, because at the time he didn't even have the tools to properly communicate with us like how he was feeling. Like he would tell us like, okay, I'm having an anxiety attack, or oh, I'm like on watch, like I'm on an outpatient program with the hospital, and the fact that I didn't know what any of that meant really, really bothered me. So all of these things kind of came together to form the idea.
Well, what I found fascinating as a viewer for each of these films is that it generated empathy in me for each character and their own journey. There was no villain, really. There were no binaries here. It was very much, well, except for yours, yes, the one bad guy.
I guess.
But it was effective, so it worked. And yet, in terms of, for example, Taboo, we felt empathy for everyone. The mother, the daughter, his friend, the protagonist, the one who attempted suicide. And it's not just one person who's affected, it's everyone. Was that, and this is for all of you, a deliberate choice to showcase the multidimensionality of each of your characters and what they're struggling with, and the lack of understanding between the characters until it really does reconcile in some ways?
Sure, I'll go first. Well, I think I had a villain, for sure. But I guess he has to feed his family, so he's allowed. Yes and no. I think the most compelling stories, like, when I was writing this film, I was watching like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and Sicario, and people are doing some really bad things, bad in quotation marks, but like, it's all coming from this, it's circumstantial, they feel like they don't have a choice, they're afraid to ask for help, there are all these things that drive people to do things that you may perceive from the outside as not great. And it's like, it's funny, I'll still always like, last night after seeing Dear Jessie, I'm like telling my husband, like, how could a mom do that? How could they do that? But at the same time, it's like, she was raised in a different time, and she probably felt immense social pressure to, distance herself from that, because she felt like, if I don't do that, I'll be an outcast. So like, is it a great thing? No. But I think that was like, not something intentional, but it's like, I think in the process of writing it, that's the only way that I felt like by the end, when, they're at the lake and they're, burning a body, they're doing something pretty intense. So if I want my audience to not check out at that point, then you kind of have to earn empathy from everyone. So there was like very minor changes along the way that helped us do that. And I think, having a great cast certainly, elevated all those things. But in terms of like when I'm writing, am I thinking about that? I don't think it's like front of mind, but I think it is something that you, in order to earn the endings that you want and the feelings that you want at the end, it just kind of happens. At least that was my experience. Yeah.
Jaquil? Or the team, anyone?
What was the question again?
Just in terms of, I think for Fatal, it was one character, but yet there was dimensionality in this character. What was the underlying core idea that drove you to create this sort of mirror that was split three ways? And the sense I got is that there was some sense of closure, even within oneself, through her. And I just want to confirm if that was the case, or are you simply letting the audience determine what the ending is?
So my philosophy on film is good art asks questions. And the thing is, the way we work is get the puzzle pieces, give it to the audience, and they put the meaning together. I think if you were going to ask me about my core idea of why, or the inspiration of writing the piece, I don't think I told you guys this, but it goes back to self-love, actually. There was a point in time in my life that I didn't like my name, so I was like, okay, how do I write a piece and show it visually? And so that ended up happening in a really, really older draft. Then we brought on the fantastic Raman K. Fenty, who graciously accepted the role, put her own twist on it. We noired it up, because I'm a huge fan of film noir, and it's captured by Andy's wonderful team. So done in black and white, and I thought that was such a magnificent piece, because now we have something that is not only talks about mental health, but also the struggle within one person as they see themselves. And I think that was just something that I don't know. It was just sort of meant to be in a way. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
Beautifully said. I want to pivot to acting a bit. As a fellow actor, it's one of my favorite topics. But what, and the directors are open to answering this as well, how were you able to take each of your films, sort of extraordinary, larger-than-life circumstances, challenging circumstances, and personalize it to such a degree as actors? And as directors, how did you end up directing your actors to make it as humanly intimate as possible, despite the odds?
I'll let them get to it because I have two of my actors here. But in terms of what I did, I think generally with all my characters, it's a process I always do. Is like I'll just have all the information that they need to know written out, even if it's not in the script, just so they have it, and then then they kind of do their thing. So I'll let them talk.
The thing about the immigration theme in this is that there's an old quote from an Italian immigrant that says, "They told me the streets were paved in gold. They're not paved in gold. They're not paved at all, and they want me to pave them." I think this story to me is like a 2024 version of that. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna come here and it's gonna be great. I have cousins in India who one time said to me, "Oh, we're gonna come there, I'll just teach or something." As if it was like that easy, like I'll just teach, like not thinking about all the processes in the way and certifications and visas and all these types of things. So there's that, but for me, playing a villain, I always say like, you have to justify it, you have to be a good attorney for your character. So if we take a common villain like Scar, it would not be good for the actor to think that Scar is trying to kill Mufasa and excommunicate Simba because he's an asshole. It has to be, I'm trying to kill Mufasa because he's a bad king, and I'm going to be a better king for the community, and it is only by the grace and the kindness and the compassion I have that I won't kill Simba. You have to be a good attorney for your character. Otherwise, you're just a mustache-twirling villain, and I think that's a bad performance. So,
What's that? Shavia?
With playing Nithya in Mirage, it's been such an interesting journey because not many people know this, but I actually got cast literally the night before. So it's been, but what's so, I've known about the story, I've known Janvi, and because of like a few things that went down, I came on board in the last second, and for me, it was, I feel like the story was already there, the circumstances, and just, it was a lot of it was just trusting and being in the moment and not second guessing myself. And also talking to Janvi late at night, and I'm like asking her 100 questions about this world. And another thing about Nithya is that it's a story that I can personally relate to. I myself moved to America when I was like 10 years old. So it's a story that I'm very familiar with, and so is my family. So the naivete and the just having that hope is very easy to tap into, and so is the darkness. Yeah.
I will say that her being cast so last minute worked really well for the film because she's supposed to be like a deer in the headlights. So it was like, it was very stressful because that was not the plan, but I'm glad it was because I can't see anyone else doing this.
Yeah, so for me, my process was completely opposite. I can't do specific relatability. So the scene where I'm running up to the door and I'm like, let me in. Nessa initially came up to me and was like, okay, imagine this is your last shot and you have to save his life. And for me in my head, I was like, can't relate, I've never saved anyone's life. But for me, I went even, not specific, but I was like, well, what's the core emotion under that? And I think it was fear. And so for me, I was like, what is making me afraid in this moment? And for me was, am I doing a good job as an actress? And so for me, when I was screaming open the door, in my head I was like, open the goddamn door, because I have to cry, and if I don't cry on set, everybody's gonna think I'm shitty. And so it helped me cry. And so later on I explained this to Nessa, and I was like, you know what makes me feel fear in this moment is not imagining I'm saving someone's life, because I can't relate to that, but it's what I'm feeling in the moment, which is I don't feel like I'm doing a good job. And so you can go. Yeah.
This is like one of my favorite stories from set, but we were just prepping for the scene, and she calls me outside, it's just me and her, and she's like, I need you to tell me that I'm a shitty actress, and I need you to tell me that I'm doing a terrible job. And I was like, are you sure? I don't understand, like, because we're like friends first too, so for a second I didn't understand what she wanted, and then I was like, and I tried, I was like, you're a bad actress. And she's like, you need to be really, really mean to me. Like, you need to make me feel like I am gonna fuck this entire thing up. So I was like, okay, you are a terrible person, you're a terrible actress, you're garbage, and you're gonna kill this entire thing, and because of you, this film is gonna tank. And then she started crying. And I was like, okay, this is perfect, let's go get the shot. So, it worked. She asked for it, so it worked.
Well, on that note,
On that note, tell me I did a really good job.
She did a great
you were
job.
excellent. All of you were excellent. Beautiful, excellent, layered performances. Incredible work. A round of applause for these teams.